Welcome to ISKCON of Silicon Valley. Very happy to have you all back here. And for all of you who have joined us online from different places around the world, welcome back. This is an opportunity that doesn't come around very frequently because the world's a busy place. Everyone's going on as if there's going to be no end to it all. However, Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita and elsewhere that we should be very conscious of the limitations we have in this life, particularly that there's a beginning and end. And we should prepare. Life should be a preparation for when we're leaving the body to have full consciousness. And that takes some practice. Fortunately, the practice in bhakti is not that difficult. It's really based on hearing. And the more that we can hear in the association of devotees, then the more we naturally grow. This is the miracle of being a human being. Just by putting oneself in proximity of transcendental sound, deliberately sitting, listening, and being attentive, one comes to know everything that is needed to know. And there's a special quality to sound vibration that comes from the scriptures and that pertains to Krishna, and that is that it transforms the heart. And this is mentioned in many different shastras, but one of the verses in the third canto says, Satam prasangam mama virya samvido, bhavanti hrit karna rasayana kata, tajjoshanad ashwa pavargavardmini, shradaratir bhaktir anukramishruti. And that is, when one associates with satam, that is, those who are serious about cultivating spiritual life, then one will hear beautiful sound vibration because it's transcendental. And because of that transcendental sound vibration, one's path in life will change. Change from one being obligated to take another birth in a material, gross and subtle body, and instead one will have the opportunity to be liberated from this mortal frame and go into the spiritual world to perform devotional service eternally. And there will be various stages that will manifest in one's life naturally by the process of hearing and the association with devotees. That's called Shraddha, Rati, and Bhakti. These represent three. These are three broad categories, but there are many subcategories within that described by the great teachers of bhakti. Shraddha generally means that one develops an awareness that the most important aspect of my life is my spiritual development. And one also becomes aware of the fact that although I have a huge debt to pay karmically, just by doing bhakti, I pay that debt quite naturally. Nothing else is needed. And if I try stopgap measures, if I try to do it piecemeal, I won't be successful. Therefore, in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Devarshi bhutapna nrinam napitrinam nakinkaronayam dranicha rajan sarvatmanaya sharanam sharanyam kato mukundam parihrita kartam. And this means that when I come into the world, I'm naturally a debtor, or rini. What a beautiful garland. Whoever's making these is some kind of charmed, blessed person. I'm a rini, I'm a debtor to all kinds of living entities. I think I'm the master, actually, but I'm only a product of the support I've received from so many other living entities. Named are the devas, the rishis, are ordinary living entities who support me by giving their lives and so forth in various ways. My forefathers, my parents, and so forth. However, if one surrenders to Krishna, to Mukunda, then one is absolved of this debt. This is a sense of shraddha, of faith, that I do bhakti and everything else is done naturally. It's like watering the root of the tree. Naturally, all the branches and leaves will be satisfied as well. And then the rati means that one actually develops a positive attraction for devotional service. And sometimes this is described as a process where the heart softens. As one takes a vow to strictly follow the path. Evam vrata swapriya nama kirtya jatana rago jita chuta uchar hasatyato rautiti rauti gayati unmadavan nrititi lokabhayaha. Then one goes on chanting Hare Krishna, and the heart begins to soften, and then it says druta chitta, the heart actually melts. And from that position, one really enjoys life. People want to know what enjoyment is, but it's when the heart melts, and one gets unlimited pleasure from chanting Hare Krishna. Then one's happy. Otherwise, I'm looking for happiness in temporary matter, and it's very frustrating because as soon as I think I have it, it begins to dwindle. And as far as I'm concerned, I mean, just in dealing with the environment, I can't ever get anything exactly the way I want it. Just in taking care of one house and a property, I'm always finding things that are either broken, sagging, growing old. You got it, it's already out of date. It seemed like I just got it yesterday, but no, it was 10 years ago, and that was an eternity. And it's impossible to keep up with the material energy. But with chanting the holy name and developing an internal practice where one's heart actually softens and one appreciates the mellows one's experiencing by chanting Hare Krishna, which is what this verse I just quoted describes, then rati, one's actually getting a positive attraction for the name, and this is happiness. And then bhakti is named as the last step in the process. This is, again, a broad category. So there are subcategories within that, but that means that one actually revives one's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there's various relationships that one will be attracted to naturally. And then one's hearing and chanting will become even more specialized because of a natural attraction for hearing in a particular way. And all this happens by placing oneself in front of transcendental sound vibration. So I say all this as a preamble to our class tonight, and a way of congratulations for coming and sitting here, and also for those who have joined online that are listening in. There are a lot of choices of what to listen to nowadays. And we were just reading this morning, in fact, in the third canto of the Bhagavatam, where Srila Prabhupada describes how there's transcendental subject matters and there are mundane subject matters that one can listen to. And when one listens to mundane subject matters, one gets the opposite result of what I just described from hearing the transcendental sound vibration. So thank you very much. And also we welcome back His Grace Brigupati Prabhu to ISV. Dr. Lawrence has become a permanent fixture here. And all of you, thank you very much for making the journey to come in tonight. It's so good to see you. So let's start off with chanting the Maha Mantra, and then we'll go into some discussion together on the Srimad Bhagavatam 7th Canto. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Screen. Okay, sorry. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Sadhusanga. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Double, double. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Part one. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go Premanande. I offer my humble obeisances to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and to all of you. You are Vaishnavas, and therefore you are the most worshipable in all the universe. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 1, The Supreme Lord is Equal to Everyone. And we're now on text number 26. Tasmad Vairanubhandena Nirvairena Bhayena Va Snehat Kamena Va Yunjyat Katanchin Nikshate Pratak Tasmat. Therefore, Vaira Anubhandena, by constant enmity, Nirvairena, by devotion, Bhayena, by fear, Va, or Snehad, from affection, Kamena, by lusty desires, Va, or Yunjat, one should concentrate, Katanchit, somehow or other, Na, not, Ikshate, sees, Pratak, something else. Translation: therefore by enmity or by devotional service, by fear, by affection or by lusty desire, by all of these or any one of them, if a conditioned soul somehow or other concentrates his mind upon the Lord, the result is the same. For the Lord, because of his blissful position, is never affected by enmity or friendship. Purport: from this verse, one should not conclude that because Krishna is unaffected by favorable prayers or unfavorable blasphemy, that one should therefore blaspheme the Supreme Lord. This is not the regulative principle. Bhakti Yoga means anakulyena krishnanushilanam. One should serve Krishna very favorably. This is the real injunction. Here it is said that although an enemy thinks of Krishna unfavorably, the Lord is unaffected by such anti-devotional service. Thus he offers his benedictions even to Shishupal and similar inimical conditioned souls. This does not mean, however, that one should be inimical toward the Lord. The stress is given to the favorable execution of devotional service, not purposeful blasphemy of the Lord. It is said, Nindam Bhagavata Shrinvams Tat Parasya Janasyava Tato Na Paiti Ya Sopi Yat Yada Sukritachchuta. One who hears blasphemy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotees should immediately take action or leave. Otherwise, he will be put into hellish life perpetually. There are many such injunctions. Therefore, as a regulative principle, one should not be unfavorable toward the Lord, but actually favorably inclined toward him. Shishupal's achievement of oneness with the Supreme Lord was different because Jai and Vijay, from the very beginning of their material existence, were ordained to treat the Supreme Lord as an enemy for 3 lives and then return home back to Godhead. Jai and Vijay inwardly knew that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they purposefully became his enemies to be delivered from material life. From the very beginning of their lives, they thought of Lord Krishna as an enemy, and even though blaspheming Lord Krishna, they chanted the holy name of Krishna constantly, along with their inimical thoughts. Thus they were purified because of chanting the holy name of Krishna. It is to be understood that even a blasphemer can be freed from sinful activities by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Certainly, therefore, freedom is assured for a devotee who is always favorable to the service of the Lord. Did you hear that last sentence? Yeah? Certainly, therefore, freedom is assured for a devotee who is always favorable to the service of the Lord. This will be clear from the following verse. By rapt attention fixed upon Krishna, one is purified. And thus one is delivered from material life. Again, by rapt attention fixed upon Krishna, one is purified, and thus one is delivered from material life. Actually, one can try to gather knowledge from many sources, but it'll remain disparate and impractical ultimately in solving the issues that face us because of the temporary nature of the material world. However, if one focuses all one's attention on the form of Krishna and the name of Krishna, then one's problems will be automatically solved, and one will automatically have all knowledge. Because, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yo mam eva masam hudo janati purushottamam so sarva vid bhajati mam sarva bhavina bharata. That one knows me, knows everything. Because he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is the origin of everything. And this is the process of having perfect knowledge also. As Bhagavatam begins, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janaya Yashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yarahaitukam. When one performs devotional service, which really means thinking of Krishna, Manmana Bhavamad Bhakto, then as concomitants, knowledge and detachment arise. That means full knowledge. One gets full knowledge of the difference between oneself and one's body. This is the most beneficial of all knowledge, as Krishna gives his definition in the Bhagavad Gita, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetrajnayo jnanam yatach jnanam matam mama. My opinion, Krishna says in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, knowledge means to know the difference between the field and the knower of the field. And then he goes on to say, then you should also be aware of the super knower, who's above both the field and the knower of the field. And furthermore, in the Shastra, it is stated by the pure devotees of the Lord that just by performing devotional service, one naturally gets all of the assets that one might try for independently in endeavors to augment one's happiness in the material world. Bhaktis tvais tirataya bhagavan yadi syad daivena nat paliti divya kishora murti mukti swayam mukulitanjali sevatesman dharmartakama gatayo pratikshaha. Means that, as Bilvamangal Thakur says, when I perform devotional service to you, my Lord, first of all, I see you everywhere. And also, liberation stands at my doorstep, waiting to serve me, along with all the other desirables in human society. For instance, liberation is there, and then artha, wealth, is there. Kama, sense gratification, everything becomes available naturally if one thinks of Krishna and focuses one's mind on Krishna. And as we're hearing in this chapter of the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna, as is described by Prahlad Maharaj later on in this canto, is like a desire tree. A desire tree doesn't consider, Prahlad says, whether one's a fit or unfit candidate. If you sit under the desire tree, it fulfills your desire. My only problem is my capacity to accept or to desire the right thing. For when I sit under a desire tree, it's often a conundrum. What should I ask for? In fact, I do this when I go to various corporate talks. And just recently we did a talk in which, for a small segment of the talk, I had them do I took them in through a guided meditation where they saw themselves sitting under a desire tree, and I described how it would fulfill any of their desires without any question. And then I asked the question, what do you want? And I could feel through the room, people like, wait a minute, what do I want? And I also asked them what might happen if you asked all of your colleagues as they were leaving work tonight what their ultimate goal in life is and what their most cherished desire in life is. And they seemed quite certain that people wouldn't be able to give a very clear answer to that. Nor would they themselves. And nor did they have a clear answer about what they wanted most when they sat under the desire tree. So it's not the desire tree that's deficient. It's my own capacity and my own understanding of what the ultimate goal of life is, and thereafter the desire to attain it. So Krishna in this chapter of the Bhagavatam is being described as the desire tree, who's equal to everyone. And he says as much in the Bhagavad Gita. And therefore we're finding in this verse that even those who come in contact with Krishna with some ulterior motive or unknowingly, because they don't know who Krishna is and because of their innate passions and desires, they berate him or they're envious of him, they say bad things about him and so forth. And the devotees know, however, that people are implicating themselves in devotional service by doing this. There's a story in the Chaitanya Bhagavat about Gadadhar Das, not Gadadhar Pandit, but he's an associate of Lord Nityananda. And at the time there was a very tense environment in the parts of India that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda were traveling in, and various regions were ruled over by Muslim kings. There was one Muslim king who had forbidden the chanting of Hare Krishna and who was very abusive towards the devotees. He was known as treacherous. He was known to be treacherous. And so one day, a very simple but blissful devotee, and many of the followers of Lord Nityananda, in fact, the followers of Lord Nityananda are known as, they're like in the Sakya Ras, like cowherd boys. One of them went in there in his bhava of anger, and he ran into the palace and he demanded that the king come down right away, which is a very dangerous thing to do, considering the circumstances. And when the guards tried to stop him, he made even more of a clamor, and finally when the king heard that and he came out into the foyer of his palace, he saw this simple devotee there, Gadadhar Das, who then saw the king and demanded that you should chant Hare Krishna. And the king then said, Gadadhar Das, you come back tomorrow and I'll chant Hare Krishna. And Gadadhar Das began dancing and he said, why should I come back tomorrow? You just did it now. And I remember when we were going door to door somewhere, it was this area or maybe it was another city, I can't remember right now, but I think it was here, and there was a man on his way to work. He worked at a restaurant, or I think it was a fast food restaurant because he had a little badge on. And he was very aware of the fact that he wasn't interested in Krishna consciousness. In fact, he was deliberately not interested and demonstratively not interested, but in a friendly way. He expressed that he had a different faith, and he didn't want anything from us, nor did he want to give anything to us. I didn't want to accept even prasadam. And we asked him at the very end, and there were about 13 devotees standing, watching, hoping that something would happen, and asked him if he would say Hare Krishna. And he said, I can't do that. I said, you can't do what? And he said, say Hare Krishna. And all the devotees went, because devotees know this principle from the Bhagavatam, that the holy name has its effect, whether one is aware of it or not aware of it, whether one tries to avoid it or not. Prabhupada taught us this. He used to say, oftentimes people would see us, we were populating the airports at that time, and they'd say, oh, that rascal Krishna man is here, Prabhupada would say. He said, because he has thought in his mind or said, the rascal Krishna man, Krishna doesn't hear the rascal part, he just hears Krishna. He said Krishna. And Prabhupada will point out in this chapter that, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter, that those who become inimical to him are pushed down into the lower species of life. So as Radhika Raman Prabhu pointed out the other night, the tone of that is really like a parent telling the child, if you do that, you're never leaving this house again. He doesn't mean it, but he says it to make a point. They may go down, Prabhupada said, into lower species of life. They do, if they commit some grievous offense in relationship to Krishna, but only for one life, he said. And then, because of the effect of their chanting, then they come back. It's like if somebody comes into a little town and gets drunk and starts causing problems throughout the town. The little sheriff hears about it, He goes down and he locks him up for the night until he sobers up. And then he lets him out in the morning. When he's sober, he lets him go. So Krishna is kind to the living entities and wants to see them reformed, but if they start hurting themselves by being overly inimical towards him, he calms them down a little bit, put him in a salamander body or something like that for a little while. And the effect of the chanting never goes away. So this is, in this verse, very parallel to one of the verses we chant in the Brahma Samhita, Yad Krodha Kama Sahaja Pranayadi Piti Vatsalya Moha Guru Gaurava Sevya Bhavai Sanchintya Tasya Sadrishim Tanamapurete Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So now, if one who's inimical towards Krishna and it says Hare Krishna gets so much benefit, and our acharyas confirm this over and over again. Yanamadeha Shravanana, that would work, but I was thinking of another verse. Namashtakam, second verse, please. Yanamadeha Shravana, what's that? Janaranjana Krite. Varamakshara krite tomarada rada pi managudiritam nikilogratapa patalimba lumpasi. This verse from Rupa Goswami in Namashtakam, he says that someone may very inimically say Hare Krishna, but tomarada rada pi manag, even one time, manag, udiritam nikilogratapa. Ugratapa means very heavy karma that they have. Ugra, like Ugra Nishinga. Ugra Tapa. Tapa means suffering because of having to work very hard in the material world because of the results of one's karma. He says, Ugra Tapa Patalim Valumpasi. That is all destroyed because they said Hare Krishna. And I was about to, I mistakenly changed another verse, but it worked. Yanamadeha Shravananu Kirtanat Yat Pravanat Yat Smaranat Api Kuchit. Shwadho Pisadya Savanaya Kalpate Kutakpunaste Bhagavanu Darshana. This verse from Devahuti, and she says, if someone even chants Hare Krishna, well, for the process of chanting Hare Krishna, hearing and chanting, then even if one's from a very low position, even a dog eater, then one can become elevated to the highest position of life. And he says then, what to speak of those who are seeing the Lord face to face, going on with the process of chanting Hare Krishna. And that brings to the point that the devotees should know that if even those who are inimical and they say Hare Krishna make so much spiritual advancement, what to speak of those who lean into the process. Of course, there's this section of the Bhagavatam which one of the devotees, I'm forgetting who now, either Narada or Vidura or Uddhava, says that he envies the demons because Narada, they're more intense in their in the way they approach Krishna. They're saying that they hate Krishna so much they're thinking of him more intensely. He's saying than I can. Than I can do. They're more fortunate. If I could be like that. So the devotees know this, they study this, and they direct their attention towards worshiping Krishna with great intensity, especially chanting the holy name of the Lord, seeing the form of the deity with devotion, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, knowing that it's the sound incarnation of the Lord, worshiping the holy Dham, and associating with Vaishnavas. Now there's more to this purport. Before I go on, we'll take some reflections. That means anything that you heard so far from the purport or the monologue that's stuck in your mind. And we have microphones, so please use them. And we're also taking reflections. Sundarananda has his hand up in the back. From those of you online who have joined, please write in. We have operators standing by to take your calls and emails 24 hours a day. Thank you. Please go ahead.
So, Prabhupada was emphasizing the purport about how one should try to serve Krishna favorably. Krishnanus Shilanam. Bhaktirottamam. So he was emphasizing the point that it doesn't mean that one should blaspheme the Lord, but try to serve the Lord in a favorable mood.
It's favorable. And so devotees, out of devotion, are careful to follow the system that Krishna himself has set forth for them to practice devotional service. It is mentioned in the Tantra Shastra, quoted by Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Shruti Smiti Paranadi Panchatriki Vidimbira Aikantiki Harer Bhaktiru Patayaiva Kalpate. That those who are not careful about following the system that Krishna has set forth in the Shruti, the Smriti, the Panchatriki Vidhi, and so forth, cause a disturbance in the society of devotees. Furthermore, there's a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the purport of the famous verse, Tavat karma nakurvita na nirvidyeta yavata matkata shravanadhava yata shravan najayate. I missed the last line, if someone could look it up, please. Tavat karma nakurvita, until that time that one has developed a taste for hearing and chanting. Tavat karma nakurvita na nirvidyeta yavata. One should not give up one's prescribed duty of following the Shastra very carefully. And in the purport, if I remember correctly, the authors have mentioned a verse from Shastra that says, last line is? Shava yava najayate. Until one is fully awakened one's faith in hearing and chanting, one should be very careful about following the rules and regulations, even of the varnashrama. So it is mentioned also that when one follows the rules and regulations careful, it's a way of honoring Krishna, because they come from Krishna. If you disobey the orders and try to act independently from them, then it's a kind of a way of disrespecting Krishna. So devotees are careful, even in the process of sadhana bhakti, to vigilantly follow the process as given in the Shruti, Smriti, Panchat, and especially Panchatriki Vidhi. And then one is assured of success. There are some other reflections. Brigupati Prabhu. Please do. Please help him out with the mic. There you go.
Yeah. How come taste sometimes comes and goes? At least I experienced that a few times in the last few days I was here. I didn't know what I did right, and I was chanting. I came, Mangalarti, and I felt like I was experiencing a taste, and it went through the whole, for quite a while, and then it went away. I don't know what I did wrong. It went away. It just seems to come and go. I don't know what I'm doing right when it comes. I don't know what I did wrong to have it go away.
Oh, I've never seen you do anything wrong, so I don't know. I mean, I can comment. It wouldn't be about your case, because you're a different case than what I'm about to describe. But one of the ways in which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes the reasons that we don't have taste is because of the 5 obstacles to Nishta Bhakti. Nishta Bhakti means steady Bhakti, where I don't have any other distractions to my practice of Bhakti Yoga. And then he lists the 5, starting with Laya, which means... Oh, is that you? I thought someone came in on the phone. Laya, which means sleep. There's a natural tendency for living entities to fall asleep when they hear Krishna Katha. So he mentions this as an obstacle. And then he says that then Vishepa, which means distraction, that I'm chanting or hearing and then I get distracted. And then a pratipati, which means that there's no distraction anywhere in sight, but I'm just not interested. And then he mentions 2 more, which means they're innate qualities that have been there since the time immemorial, and it takes some time for them to be dissolved. And he also mentions, I have a taste for material things. So it takes some time before those are, before they're, let me give it to you in technical terms. Can you wait 1 second? These anartas are like data. I was wondering what data was because I was trying to transfer data from one computer to another, and it's my karma that every time I do something like that, it takes me a week because something inevitably goes wrong. It's not as easy as they say for me. So there's data, and when you delete data, which I did a lot of over the last couple of days, deleting data, when you delete the data, it deletes the index of where the data is stored, but the data is still there. And the index is the ownership of the data. When you cut the index cord, then the data has no ownership, and therefore it doesn't belong to anywhere anymore. And then it starts to, it's overwritten. So I was thinking about anartas and why sometimes there's taste and no taste. It takes this ownership of the data, the indexing, is kind of the false ego, where I'm holding on to these anartas and I think these are mine, this is who I am. I have entitlement here in the material world. I'm entitled because I'm an American. Or take your pick of any material designation. But through the process of devotional service, when that identification is cut, then the data begins to degrade and is overwritten finally. But there's an interim period, and it's described, Jata Shraddha Matkatasu Nirvina Sarvakarmasu Veda Dukat Makankamams Prityagye Pyanishvara Tato Bhajetamam Prita Shraddha Lordrajanishchaya Jushamanam Shtatankamams Duko Darkams Dagarayan. Krishna says in this interim period when all the data hasn't been diminished and it hasn't been overwritten yet by a strong desire for bhakti, then I have a clear idea that I'm a devotee. I actually believe that material life is detrimental and that to my self-interest, and sense gratification leads to misery. But parityagye pyanishvara, I still don't have the ability to overcome or to not engage in sense gratification. So Krishna says, just go on with the process. I mean, this is one whole area of discussion about why I don't have taste, is because I haven't, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, I haven't overcome the 5 obstacles yet, and therefore I get distracted and my taste is interrupted. And then there's other descriptions, for instance, in the Harinam Chintamani, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was speaking to Haridas Thakur, he says, sometimes if I make offenses to the holy name, then the holy name withdraws himself. And it's just like if you work for a boss, and say he's a merchant, and he says, be here at 9 o'clock, and then you show up at 9:01 or 9:02, he starts getting irritated and finally locks the door and says, you can't work anymore until you get serious. So sometimes Krishna locks the door so that I can't get in, and then my intensity develops so that I really want to develop a taste for Krishna. And others feel that they don't have a taste because, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even when he was in complete ecstasy, he would say, did I show some symptoms of ecstasy? And he said, oh, it was all just pretend, because actually I don't have any taste at all. And when Mahaprabhu tells Sanatana Goswami about the process of pure devotional service, he mentions 9 symptoms of bhava. And in bhava, he says, one of the symptoms is that although the person, the devotee, is making advancement in devotional service, it's become very advanced, he or she thinks, oh, I don't have any taste. And I'm the most fallen of all people, and feels very lowly even though that person has become exalted. But he thinks himself to be very low. I would surmise that that's the case for Gopati Prabhu. Okay, now we have one online.
So this is from Adam Ellen Bass from New Vrindavan.
Oh, really?
Yes.
How nice.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it's Adam calling from New Vrindavan. Dandavat pranams.
It's
Thank
hard
you.
to call from New Vrindavan, especially right now. It's 10.
Yeah, almost 10. Yeah. Thank you for the wonderful lecture. And there's a question. Is anger ever to be of service to Krishna in our daily lives? Or should we try to root it out? I'm wondering, after your mention of the intensity of those who think inimically of Krishna, if it means that anger has some constructive role in Krishna consciousness.
Yes, it does. And no, we shouldn't try to employ it in our daily lives. I'll be more clear about this. The Shastra says that every emotion can be used in the service of Krishna. And anger is one of those. The typical example that Prabhupada gives is Arjuna. In fact, there are ways in which Krishna incited his anger so that he would fight the battle at Kurukshetra. And he points out, does Srila Prabhupada, that how could he fight a war without being angry? You have to be into it to do that well in a battle. And Hanuman also became angry and started burning Lanka to the ground. And he was angry because of the way Ravana had taken Sita away and was just disobeying Ramchandra. And so, he burned Lanka to the ground. And so the anger of these great devotees is sometimes is mentioned as examples of the way anger can be used, because everything can be used in the service of the Lord. And if you look in the Nectar of Devotion very carefully, you'll find the second half of the Nectar of Devotion is a catalog of all the ways in which various emotions can be used in the service of the Lord, and anger is among them. However, it's not recommended for neophytes to try to use anger, because often what happens is I lose my anger and then I say, oh, anyway, I offer that to Krishna. Just like Gopalaban, Prabhupada told about Gopalaban, one of his friends. His friends used to criticize him and say, Gopalaban, you're so cheap. You never give anything to Krishna. And one day he's carrying a tray of grains through the fields, and a big gust of wind comes and blows it off, and it goes flying. He's going to lose it anyway, so he says, oh, I offer that to Govinda. And there's using anger and losing anger. It's very dangerous energy. In fact, Radhika Raman Prabhu was mentioning this the other day, is be careful. Better not to touch it. It's the Rudra energy. Unless it comes at a very advanced stage, then don't try to use it in Krishna service. At least this is the advice I'm hearing from advanced devotees. Although the principle is sound, that anger can be used in the service of Krishna, but be careful because it can burn you also. It's very dangerous energy, actually. And I experienced that once when I was in the St. Louis airport, and I had a fruitive mentality. And because I had a fruitive mentality, I became angry at somebody for not taking a book. And then nobody else would take a book from me for the rest of the day. And I noticed what Prabhupada had mentioned in one of his purports is when you become angry, it pollutes your whole body, including your face and your chest. And so people look at me from about 10 feet away and they go, no thanks. They could tell I was polluted. I'd become angry. And I was thinking about how strong that energy and how careful one has to be about using it. So the principle is there. Anger can be used in the service of Krishna, but one should be very, very careful of it. Yes, another one.
So this is from Krishna Dasi Mataji from Los Angeles. Hare Krishna, thank you for the wonderful class. Are the modes at play when we are not feeling the taste, as we are always back and forth from sattva to tamas when we teeter-totter?
Yes, similar to what I mentioned before about the 5 obstacles. The modes can be at play. Oftentimes it's because I'm I'm not paying attention to when I'm chanting, and I'm not fully applying myself in the process, and that can be torture, actually, because half chanting is much harder than really leaning into your chanting. As an example, in the practice of, I remember in school, in the classes where I didn't really want to be there, it took forever for the clock to move. I can remember sitting in Mr. Schumacher's class in junior high school, and there was some topic that I wasn't interested in at all. I really wanted to go out and play. And I was looking at the clock and noticing that there was a certain amount of time left, and I kept looking back up and going, how come the clock didn't move? Whereas in other classes, I can remember when the teacher was reading a story, and I couldn't wait to get back from recess to hear the story, and the teacher's reading the story, and then it's over already. It goes so quickly. And when I don't give full attention to the process, then it's easy for the mind to take over, and I think I'm chanting or hearing, but actually the mind's just running, and there's no taste in that. It's actually, I feel restricted. Or if as I mentioned before about the obstacles, it's torturous to sit in a class when you're really tired and you're trying to stay awake and hear at the same time. So we're battling with the lower forces, the lower modes of material nature, and that can also be a hindrance. Prabhupada also says in the light of the Bhagavat, then when the Chaturmasya season comes, students and other people who like renunciates, some go into seclusion for 4 months. This was this Indian system, because you couldn't really go on the roads, they were impassable. And so there's benedictions given in the Vedas. When you follow the Chaturmasya, you have to do. You have to eat only once a day. But that's not just eat once a day, but you can only eat havishan, which is mung and rice with no spices at all. And that's not all. You have to put it on the floor. No plate, no table. And you eat it off the floor with your hands behind your back. And you can only eat as much for the day as you can eat with your hands behind your back. We tried it when we were brahmacharis. Brigu, you did it too? Oh.
That's not all. You said once you come up.
Oh, wait. Give him the mic. Brigu's got the punchline here.
Once you come up, you can't go back down again.
And it's really hard, actually. I thought this should be easy. I'll stay down there. First of all, I felt like an animal. I thought this is what animals are like, You can hear yourself, masticating, and it sounds like a really animalistic activity when you're eating off the floor. And then it's really hard to stay in that position to eat for that long. And once you get up, it's like, that's it for the day. You go on. Anyway, Chaturmasya, Prabhupada mentions in the light of the Bhagavad. There's other austerities that you would do during that month. And he said, after the Chaturmasya practice, when these students and ascetics come out of their confinement, then they realize the results of their austerities. The whole world looks different. They interact with the sense objects in a different way. They've gotten some benediction. So then Prabhupada says that all of us are practicing devotional service, but our lifetime is a Chaturmasya-like existence. We think it's a big deal, long time, whatever. It's only 4 months compared to the Chaturmasya. It's just a little period of time you've got. And he says, you may not realize the full results of your practices until you leave the world. You may fully realize it then. Even people who aren't practicing anything, when they leave their body, it's quite a revealing experience. I mean, just even leading up to leaving the body. If you're ever with somebody who's leading up to it, just the very hint that you've got, a short amount of time left makes you really think, who am I? Can I handle this? And so forth. And then when you're in the throes, you're separating from the physical body, and you're moving to another destination by the force of daiva, a higher authority. You have no control over it. I mean, just like I'm going on a trip, 42 days, and leaving the house You have to figure out what I'm going to put in the bag and what I'm going to leave here, and the mind's going back and forth. What to speak when you have to leave your body? You really have to go over it, and there's no real choice. You just have to leave everything, come with us, like, where are we going? We'll tell you later. It's a very revealing time. And so when one's leaving this world, Prabhupada says, one will realize the power of one's austerity. And this brings up a verse from the Sri Upanishad. Give him the mic to our pundit circle over here. They'll give us the verse that I'm referring to right now. No helping the crowd, the pundits over there. Go for it. They can consult among themselves.
Vayo anilam amritam.
Help him out. Okay, go ahead. Relay to Aprame. He's got it.
Vairanilam amritam atedam bashmantam shariram om kritosmara kritam smara kritam smara kritosmara.
Very good. Very well. Means? Give us the spirit of the verse. You don't have to give the exact, but just tell why that verse relates to what I was just saying.
I think it means that at the end of my body, let my body merge into the bodily element.
It's declarative. Let this temporary body be burnt to ashes. Let the air of life be merged with the totality of air. Now, my Lord, please remember all my sacrifices, and because you are the ultimate beneficiary, please, last line, remember all that I have done for you. So Prabhupada goes on to say there that the devotee doesn't have to remind Krishna all he's done, because everything will come to bear at the end, at the time of death. In fact, a devotee was telling me that he had a friend that was in the military, and he died and then came back. It was Ratnabhushan was telling me. He said he had a friend, I think it was in the Marines, and he was shot and wounded, and I think temporarily flatlined, and then he was brought back to life again. And then he said, so what was it like? And he said he saw every event in his life went before his eyes. And he said it was uncanny because it all happened at once. He saw all the scenes, but all in a moment. And this is very much a parallel with many of the statements made in the Shastra and the Srimad Bhagavatam about how a person, when leaving the body, becomes fully aware of all the things he or she has done in this lifetime. Now, for a person who has disregarded the opportunity of thinking of Krishna and acted whimsically and independently, there'll be an assortment of sordid activities that one has engaged in throughout one's life that will force one to be attracted to a certain subject matter, yang vapi smaran pavam tajatyante kalevaram, and that one will be obligated to not take another material body. But this verse, Vayura nilam amritam atedam bashmantam shariram, it's indicating that the devotee is, because of the contribution to devotional service throughout his or her life, has all of this to bear at the time of death. It comes to bear and presents itself. I mean, you can think of all the times you did devotional service, all the books you distributed, all the times you chanted Hare Krishna, all the times you cried out to Krishna or prayed. All that energy is there, and it comes into the mental system of the devotee. And Prabhupada goes on to say in that purport that even if the devotee who has tried so hard throughout his or her life to remember Krishna doesn't remember Krishna at the time of death because of force of circumstances, then Krishna will force his way into the devotee's mind and make him remember at the time of death. He'll assist in that way. And how did I get onto that? Because someone asked about the lower mode. I'm still on that one, the lower modes of nature. Okay, Priya Kishori. What? Okay, many more reflections. Did you have one? Go ahead.
So I was going to reflect back in the beginning of the class when we were talking about the Kalpa Vriksha tree and sitting underneath that. And yesterday I was kind of having a conundrum in my mind, and I thought, let me sit in front of a piece of paper and see what all this noise is about and write it down. And there was this unnerving silence that kind of came about, and I was thinking, am I really aware of what is needed for me and what is good for me? And there are so many desires that pass through our head at every single moment. But when you try to pin it down, it's dangerously amazing how you don't really know what you need. And so I was reflecting on how he said the main thing is to keep the main thing, and thinking that going back to our foundations of the practice of devotional service will highlight the verse that whatever is entitled to come to us, Ishavasyamidam Sarvam, will come to us by this practice of chanting Hare Krishna, associating with devotees and all the foundational principles.
Vedeshu yagyeshu tapasu chaiva dadeshu yat punya palam pratishtam adyeti tatsarvam idam vaditva yogi param stanam upaiti chadyam. Krishna says in so many places what you ended with, that if you give yourself to the process of devotional service, thinking of Krishna, worshiping him and so forth, you won't be bereft of the results that you get from any other thing you can imagine, like performing Vedic rituals, giving in charity, big sacrifices and so on. And I really like the point about how you sat in front of a blank piece of paper and then realized how, although they seem to be so numerous, they're practically nondescript, all these desires. And it reminded me of the verse where Krishna says, or thoughts, I should say, Prajahati yadakaman sarvan parta manogatan. This yogi who is in steady consciousness is able to detach from all the manufactured thoughts, ideas, desires that come from the mind, and then find satisfaction within the heart. Atmanyevatmana tushta, feel tushta within the heart, satisfaction. Thank you. That was very helpful and practical. Shraddha, more from the internet? Please.
So one is from Pandit Shivas from Cincinnati.
Oh yeah, Pandit Srivas, nice.
Especially love the point about the holy name being a person who sometimes hides in the face of us being negligent towards him, pushing us to be more committed in our relationship.
Yes. Navai jano jata katanshana vrajan mukunda sevan yavaranga samsritin smaran mukundang rupaguhanam punar. What is it with the fourth line tonight? Vihatami chenna rasagrahojana. This verse from Narada Muni, he says that if someone's done devotional service and then falls down from devotional service, that person never forgets because has had that taste before. So it doesn't fall away like other people. It continues to remember that taste again and again. And another?
Then we have from India. This is Vrindavan and Raja checking in from Chennai.
Vrindavan and Raja, Haribo! Come on.
Thank you for
big Haribo. Okay, is the question from Vrindavan or Vraja?
Vrindavan.
Okay, good.
Thank you for yet another inspirational talk. What will stick with me today is half chanting is worse than no chanting. We do half chanting when our mind is not focused, when we lack determination to please Krishna, and when we let the senses roam freely. So it's very important to bring our focus and attention to the holy name, even when there is no taste. And at least by our sincere effort to chant, Krishna will be pleased.
That's good. Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing, that there's nothing worse than no chanting. So, even if you're chanting poorly, the Shastra says, Namaparada yuktanam naman yeva harantyagam avishrani prayuktani namye varta karanicha. that if you're chanting in Namaparadha, then the prescription is to keep chanting constantly, to chant constantly and don't stop. And the logic there is, given by our acharyas, is as you continue to chant Hare, first of all, it's very difficult to chant Hare Krishna if you're making aparadas. It's one of the things that you lose your taste, so it's kind of a trick in a way. But if you continue chanting Hare Krishna, remember this, don't give up, don't become morose, don't think I'm unqualified, but continue to chant, and chant more, and chant constantly. Then what will happen is you'll begin to touch the Namabhas. And from Namabhas you get so much fortification and nourishment on the spiritual platform that you become emboldened to move forward and do more chanting and better chanting from that position. So don't stop chanting at any time. And Vrindavan, that was very nicely articulated. Wasn't that nice?
Yes.
I mean,
yes, I was amazed. Yeah,
really doing something over there. Okay.
Then we have Bali Mardan Prabhu.
Bali Mardan, let's see, where is he now?
I don't know, Maharaj. So he says, thanks Bhigupati Prabhu for, oh God, this went away. Just give me, sorry about that. Thanks Bhigupati Prabhu for asking such nice questions, and thanks Vaisesika Prabhu for answering it nicely. A good insight from Vishnu Chakrabarti's commentary, and offenses to holy name blocks taste to the holy name. Just my comment.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So that's there. Then we have Naimisharana Prabhu from Texas.
Oh, nice.
Some reflections. Hare Krishna, Gurudev, Dandat Pranams, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for another excellent class. I really appreciate the point about the 5 obstacles, and the only solution is to keep going. It also reminded me how it's important to always pivot when we have those thoughts. Do I want to do this? Just like you decided to carry the heavy book back up the escalator. Thank you, your servant, Naimisharanya Das.
Thank you, Naimisharanya Prabhu. More?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, this is from Danvari Dasi.
Oh, nice.
Thank you for the nice class. One of the point I like is what Devahuti said in Bhagavatam, that Krishna is so kind that even if a dog eater chants or says Hare Krishna, Lord makes arrangement and is merciful to that person.
Yes.
And Maharaj, on Facebook, Nijdham Prabhu was saying that he remembered, when we were saying in the beginning of the class that you don't remember where the person wouldn't want to repeat Hare Krishna, so he said that it was back where he is from in 2014.
Now, can you say that again?
So Maharaj, in the beginning of the class, we were talking about an episode while doing book distribution where you wanted somebody to chant the Hare Krishna, and the person said, I don't want to.
Yes, so where was it?
It was, Nijdham Prabhu said that it was in San Diego in 2014.
San Diego, 2014.
Yeah.
And he was there. Who
reported that? Nijdham Prabhu.
Nijdham, yeah, he was there. So I'm glad I got a witness.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
And
I'm not making stuff up here.
And Bali Mardan Prabhu reported that he's at home. We were asking where he is.
Oh, he is? Okay, all right.
And then and there's a question from Rupa Manjari Dasi Mataji. She posted on Facebook as well.
Yes.
And so she says, I would appreciate Prabhu's insight into how to balance between provoking people about potentially beneficial namabhas and provoking dangerous Vaishnava aparadh. So I didn't get the question.
Well, I think what she's saying is that when we're doing outreach, if we stir up people just to get them to accidentally chant Hare Krishna, then they may actually become more offensive towards the devotees and more angry, and then become diminished in their power to appreciate the devotees even more. And after all, that's a very valid point, because the Shastra says, Ishvare taradineshu bhalisheshu dvisatsucha prema maitri kripopeksha yakaroti samadhyamaha. Those who are teaching Krishna consciousness to others in the world should discriminate between those who are innocent and open to receiving Krishna consciousness and those who are inimical, in which case, when one meets inimical people, one should avoid them, be upeksha. And the reason given is that it will increase their level of disrespect and perhaps, I use the word poetically, venom, towards the devotees, and they'll make more aparadha. So one should avoid them. Nonetheless, we have these stories from the Chaitanya Bhagavat and many from the field. Even devotees who go out regularly and who become expert at dealing with people sometimes know exactly how to deal with people, even if they seem a little bit reluctant at first or even a little inimical, and how to help unburden them and maybe help them chant, even though they weren't planning on it. So it should be done very carefully and by those who are expert. And she makes a very good point. We're not to push just to try to do that in all circumstances, but you have to wait for the right time. And if you know when the right time is, that means you're expert. Yes, Brigapati Prabhu.
Is there a time when we shouldn't try to be such a pure devotee? I'll give you an example. That sounds funny, but in my own life, I know I've had, in my attempts to what I thought was trying to be a pure devotee, I've had people who have become resentful of me, people who are close to me. They felt like I was neglecting them. I didn't think that's what I was doing. I thought I was trying to be enthusiastic about devotional service, do more Sankirtan, pay more attention, to do more hearing and chanting. But the actual external result was these people perceived it as that, you're neglecting me. And also, like, for instance, in the last 4 years, both my parents passed away. And then in retrospect, I'm thinking, was that really necessary? I mean, my parents weren't really against me being a devotee. Couldn't I have spent more time with them? Couldn't I have paid more attention to them and had more of a relationship with them? Was it necessary for me to, and sometimes in retrospect, I'm thinking, keep them at such a distance? And so how does one know whether one is favorably trying to become a pure devotee or being maybe a bit fanatical and doing, you get the idea.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a really important and good question. And I think the premise, maybe we could examine the premise a little bit. One is that what a pure devotee means doesn't necessarily mean, and you said it at the end really, you gave the juxtaposition of the word fanatical. So, does a pure devotee mean one who's always in your face chanting or doesn't communicate with his or her parents because he has better things to do and so forth? I mean, Krishna talks about in the 11th chapter of the Gita, he said, one who is a kind friend to all living entities is very, very dear to me. And also mentions various qualities of the devotees in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that specifically attract him. For instance, isn't disturbed by a particular circumstance, whether it goes well or it doesn't go well, whether it's auspicious or inauspicious, the devotee is able to adjust it. The ordinary one who's not dependent, he says, on the ordinary course of activities is very, very dear to me. And this, the image of a pure devotee we get from these descriptions and from what we hear from, for instance, the way Chaitanya Mahaprabhu interacted with his followers and other pure devotees interacted with their followers. I'm not saying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a pure devotee. Well, he's acting as a pure devotee, but is very holistic. Pure devotees are not, you don't have the feeling that they're fanatical. Although they're very serious about devotional service, they know how to interact with others. For instance, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when Shivananda Sain and the devotees was taking the devotees down from Navadvip down to Puri, and they're making this long journey, and when you're traveling, that's when your friendships really get tested. And one day, Shivananda Sain had gone ahead of the party, and he was looking for lodging. Meanwhile, the noon meal hadn't arrived yet, or had been cooked by their traveling cook, and Nityananda Prabhu was there, traveling with them, and he became really hungry. And he began seriously criticizing Shivananda Sain. and cursing him actually. Where is he? I didn't get fed yet. Nityananda Prabhu was an avaduta, so he says all these things, and without concern for social norm or anything like that. And Shivananda Sain's wife, when he heard that, her husband was cursed, began to cry. And then when Shivananda Sain finally came back, she went and lodged a complaint with Shivananda. Nityananda just cursed you to die. And he said, silly woman, if he cursed me to die, let me die. It's Nityananda. I'll be happy to die if he cursed me. And then Nityananda Prabhu came over and kicked Shivananda Sain. He said, I'm hungry. Where's the prasadam? And he kicked him. And then the nephew of Shivananda Sain became so disturbed that he went ahead of the party and went straight to Puri on his own. And when he got there to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Govinda was just, the servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was just about to tell him, don't take your coat off, because like everyone in South India knows, when you go in the temple, you got to, men can't wear even a kurta, you got to wear a chadar down here and stuff. And so he had a coat on, so the etiquette at the time was don't wear a coat when you come and sit before a respectable person. So Govinda was about to tell him, take your coat off. But Mahaprabhu, being omniscient, knew that he was upset from being his uncle being insulted and kicked by Nityananda Prabhu. So he said to Govinda, "Don't bother." He said he understood his mind. He said he's a little agitated right now. It's okay. And I'm giving this point to show that those who are Paramahamsas, they're very gentle and concerned with social interaction. It's not that they become isolated, unless they go off to sit in a cave or something like that to chant all day long. But even Haridas Thakur, he was very considerate. When devotees would come to see him, they would, they were saying, there's a snake in the cave, and we come to chant with you. And it's like, oh, no problem. I'll leave. Devotees are very accommodating and soft. These are the descriptions of pure devotees given in the Shastra. So when a devotee becomes advanced, the heart melts, and the devotee heart goes out to all kinds of people. Even those who are, you'll see interactions that pure devotees have with what other people thought were, non-devotees or something, but the devotee sees within everybody, the pure devotee, yastu sarvani bhutani atmai vad buddhijanataha. Other one, yasmin sarvani bhutani atmai vad buddhijanataha, tatra ko mahakashoka ekavamanupashita. One who always sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or any being. One who always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks in quality one with the Lord, becomes a true knower of things, what then can be illusion or anxiety for him. And so the pure devotees are known to be unusually accommodating to other living entities and so forth. So it's natural when one begins a process in anything, says Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that you get youthful enthusiasm. He calls it utsahan mayi. For instance, when you first learn to play the piano, after the first lesson you come home and you go like, I'm a maestro. I mean, there's nobody better than me. Until later on you start, when you become actually advanced in playing the piano, you think, I'm the worst. Because you see how far you have to go. And pure devotees are like that. They're more humble than anyone because they see that actually the more advanced you get, the more you know you don't know. The more you know you don't know. So there's a lot to be said about that, but the example is there. And that's why pure devotees are so charming. They're so unarming because when you're around them, you see you're so advanced, but they're so simple and kind to others and humble. That it's what a combination that is, and that's why people become attracted to such advanced devotees. That's why we like you, Brigapati. So now we have the main feature event for tonight. I'm the warm-up act, and hopefully I kept the things going long enough so that the suspense could build. If we could bring in another chair, because after she does her harmonium, then Avantika will be doing the 5-minute Gita class tonight. Want a better drum? Upgrade. Yeah, you can do that. Give her. We'll just start there and then move up. It's easier. More scientific.
Hare Krishna. It's not weird. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So I will be reading from the 5th chapter, 18th verse. 5th chapter. You guys can repeat after me. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Suni Chaiva Svapake cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. Vidya with education. Vinaya and gentleness. Sampanne fully equipped. Brahmane in the Brahmana. Gavi in the cow. Hastini in the elephant. Shuni in the dog. Cha and. Eva certainly. Svapake cha in the dog eater, the outcast, cha, respectively, panditaha, those who are wise, samadarshinaha, who see with equal vision. Translation. The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle brahmana, a cow and elephant, a dog and a dog-eater, outcast. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. A Krishna-conscious person does not make any distinction between species or castes. The brahmana and the outcast may be different from the social point of view, or a dog, a cow, and an elephant may be different from the point of view of species, but these differences of body are meaningless from the viewpoint of a learned transcendentalist. This is due to their relationship to the Supreme, for the Supreme Lord, by his plenary portion as Paramatma, is present in everyone's heart. Such an understanding of the Supreme is real knowledge. As far as the bodies are concerned in different castes or different species of life, the Lord is equally kind to everyone, because he treats every living being as a friend, yet maintains himself as Paramatma regardless of the circumstances of the living entities. The Lord as Paramatma is present both in the outcast and in the Brahmana, although the body of a Brahmana and that of an outcast are not the same. The bodies are material productions of different modes of material nature, but the soul and the supersoul within the body are of the same spiritual quality. The similarity in the quality of the soul and the supersoul, however, does not make them equal in quantity, for the individual soul is present only in that particular body, whereas the Paramatma is present in each and every body. A Krishna-conscious person has full knowledge of this, and therefore he is truly learned and has equal vision. The similar characteristics of the soul and supersoul are that they are both conscious, eternal, and blissful. But the difference is that the individual soul is conscious within the limited jurisdiction of the body, whereas the supersoul is conscious of all bodies. The supersoul is present in all bodies without distinction. So, devotees know no difference between a brahmana, a dog, because they're both parts and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the only reason they have different bodies is due to their previous karma. So we can really see how compassionate and great a devotee is, and a great example that you guys all know is Prahlad Maharaj. And I chose a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 5th chapter, 12th verse. But before I go into that, let me give you some context of what was going on at the time. So right now, Hiranyakashipu was scolding Prahlad Maharaj and asking him, how has your intelligence gotten so polluted? And he's like, is this what your teachers have been teaching you? And Prahlad Maharaj is now talking to his teacher, Sanda and Amarka, and he says, Sayadanu vrata pumsam Pasubuddhir vibidyate Anya esha tatanyoham iti beda gatasati. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with the living entity because of his devotional service, one becomes a pundit and doesn't make distinctions between enemies, friends, and himself. Intelligently, he then thinks, every one of us is an eternal servant of God, and therefore we are not different from one another. So what Prahlad Maharaj is saying here is that we always constantly make these differences between friends, enemies, and etc., and all of these are fake, and all these delusions only come to us because we are under the influence of Maya. And Prahlad Maharaj is so advanced that even though his own father was trying to kill him, he was throwing him down a cliff, trying to burn him, he still showed compassion towards him. And even after Lord Nrsingadev appeared, he still asked Lord Nrsingadev to spare his father, or Hiranyakashipu. So we can see how a Vaishnava will never make these distinctions between people because he knows that we are all simply servants of the Lord. Ekatvam anupashyataha. And that's the next verse I'm going to be saying from the Ishopanishad, verse 7. Yasmin sarvani bhutani Atmeva bhut vijanatah Tatra ko moha kashoka Ekatvam anupashyatah. One who sees all living entities as spiritual sparks, in quality one with the Lord, becomes a true knower of all things. What then can be illusion or anxiety for him? So the main point Prabhupada was getting at in the first half of the purport was how Vaishnavas see Paramatma in everyone's heart. But in the second half of the purport, it's more about how living entities and Krishna are same in quality, but different in quantity. And a good analogy from the Ishopanishad is how living entities are qualitatively one with the Lord, similarly to how a drop of water is qualitatively one with the ocean, but the quantity is different. So a great devotee or a Mahatma sees all as the energy of the Supreme Lord. And this verse really inspires me, and it gives me a good perspective, because it's really easy to see others as being, or anything, being lower or better than you. And whereas we're all simply servants of Krishna. So it really gives a sense of compassion and humility. Hare Krishna.
Okay, now we have a round of what worked well. So please volunteer. You can give feedback with the things that worked well. There's lots of it here. Okay.
So what first comes to my mind is that your speech was very, very sweetly rendered, and I think just knowing you, you really spoke from experience, because I see your interactions with all the kids here, and you really see them as non-different from yourself, and that we're all serving Krishna. And so I was very much able to relate to your speech, as would have many others.
So by sweet, you mean like relatable? How do you mean that?
I mean in terms of delivery, in terms of conveying the message. That's what I was particularly.
Okay, like easy to
Easy to digest.
It was nice.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I like the way you told us where you were in the story. You didn't there many parts of the story, like the Prahlad Maharaj story, so you told us where you were in the story, and then you based off of it, so it was a lot easier for us to catch on what you were saying.
Context, use context, right? Nice. Okay, Aprame?
This is a more technical thing. You had the Ishopanishad verse as your notes, so when Mataji or Prabhuji were pulling it up...
More volume, please, on the mic. Thank you.
It took 2 minutes for them to pull up the Ishopanishad verse because they're not used to pulling up Ishopanishad. You had it on your notes.
But the point was that she knew the verse, right? She was ready for it. So it wasn't like she stopped or something like that. Okay. Adult side of the room. You'll get another chance. Okay, over here. Go ahead.
Well done. Very confident and well delivered.
Confident. Yeah. Okay, good. Brigo had a point.
Yeah, it seems like you're very conversant with the philosophy. You articulated it very well. And, you thought about the points that you were making. I would just suggest speaking slower, because you're making a lot of good points, and it's hard to process that quickly. And probably for a young person like yourself, you might want to just not refer to people as guys, So just
So Briga started the next part of the round, which is room for improvement, but very helpful, those two things. She's taken them in. Was there one more? Somebody else had a hand up back there. Yeah, go ahead. Pass it back. 2 more, and then we're going to go into room for improvement, following up.
Well done. I really like the way you tied those 3 verses together and gave that central meaning out. So it really helped emphasize what you were saying. And I would agree with what Brigapati Prabhu has said, which I'll talk about in later. Go slow.
Okay, one more.
Okay, I also the same, that she covered quite a bit of verses, and from Bhagavatam, from Bhagavad Gita, as well as Ishopanishad. So that's a good variety you gave, and how you interrelated it. And I also like the points you made in details, but in very short amount of time, but you passed on the message of Prabhupada's importance of this verse. And I also like in the end, you said how you can relate to this. So that is very important, that what is meant to you. I mean, it's one thing that you're passing it down, but we are also personal, so you relate it the personal way. Thank you.
Good feedback from everybody. Very nice. And thank you, Hansapriya. Okay, now we got a short round of room for improvement. We'll just take a couple more. All the way to the back. Hari Sankirtan.
And this was the first time, so it was a good job. But as I said, like as Prabhuji said, reduce your speed. And the one way you can do it is like by practicing at home, in front of the mirror or to your parents.
What was
and
the advice? Talk slower?
Yeah, talk slower, yeah.
Slower, okay.
And also, don't be conscious, no need to smile. You are like trying to, I mean, maybe it was you're nervous or you're smiling, so maybe you can...
She smiled or she didn't smile?
She smiled a lot.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah. It showed her nervousness that she was continuously smiling.
Okay. One more room for improvement? Anyone? God, it's hard to find. Okay, Nilesh.
Maybe eye-to-eye contact needs to be improved.
Eye contact could be done, yeah. Just takes practice. Okay, now for finishing the round, more of what worked well. We're coming all back up to the front here. Madhava Govinda. Niharika is after that.
I liked how she divided the purport and gave what was there in the first part of the purport, and then again taking from the second part of the purport and explaining that.
Yeah, well divided and organized.
I really liked the delivery. You spoke really clearly. And like Hansari Mataji said, the one thing that really stuck to me was your personal experience and like how you would use it in your life.
Okay, two more and then we're done.
I think the order you put the verses in was very nice.
Good. Okay, and then we'll, yeah.
Also, you gave context right before you quoted the Bhagavatam verse. That was also good.
It's good. We got that one already. Go ahead.
Here's a young person who's very sincerely taking Krishna consciousness and studying this philosophy, and it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, you know, on the whole. And I just like to say, please keep speaking. I mean, it was really totally enlivening.
Okay. Avantika, you picked the right night because you got blessings from Brigupati Prabhu. So now you'll be able to speak anytime all over the world.
I hope so.
Now give a mic back to Avantika. Why don't you just tell us anything that you're taking away from the feedback? Which main points you took to heart? Either room for improvement or what worked well?
For the room for improvement, even at home, like my dad, my mom, everyone just tells me to speak slower. So I tried doing that, but I should work harder on that.
Okay, what else? Like, what other impressions did you have from speaking? Tell us your realization. The process of practicing for it, or what was it like? What did it feel like?
Choosing the verse was difficult, but I actually had the Srimad Bhagavatam verse. It's actually my favorite verse, so it tied in really well with this.
That's your favorite verse?
Yeah.
It's a nice verse, and it really did tie in well. Nice. Was it hard?
Yeah, kind of.
Do you recommend it for others?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So we'll continue the 5-minute Gita class. I think it'd be nice if we expand it more too. We could even do some on Saturdays. And, kids and adults should get ready and start doing it on both days, I think. Is that all right? Okay. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming all the way out here tonight on a Wednesday night for the Krishna Katha. I have to head back home because I have an early flight tomorrow, and I still have a little bit of packing to do before I'm ready to go. It seems like I don't notice all the things that are pending in my life until I actually have to leave, and then they all come to bear at once until the plane kicks back, and then I figure it's too late. Thank you all very much for dedicating your lives to the process of Krishna consciousness. Your whole lives are a offering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please take care of one another. Go out of your way to support each other, love each other, and give as much Krishna consciousness to the people of Silicon Valley and beyond as possible. And get ready for the marathon. We're already in it, believe it or not. I mean, we're here. It's October. So we've got a few months to give our whole hearts and souls to this. And I'll be counting the days till I see you again back in for the Black Friday. And we'll rock San Francisco. Gaur Premanande Haribo. One more time for Avantika. Come on. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripasanabhevacha patitanam pavanibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha nantukati vaishnaviniki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki, Bhrigupati Prabhu ki,